All right, guys, welcome back to Burning Rubber Garage. Got Justin with me here today. We're going to be digging that Coleman out back there and go ahead and take off the governor, which is a speed governor, almost like a speed limiter. I'm not sure how much we're going to pick up or if it'll even run when we're done, but we're going to go ahead and give it a shot and we'll take you guys along for the ride. I think it'll do something because that's what everybody online says, so we're going to give it a shot. I know a lot of you guys have been wanting this. I see a lot of comments saying, hey, when are you going to do that? When are you going to do that? So we're going to do that. Here you go and watch it. It should be one part, maybe two. I'm not sure yet. It depends on how much we got to do in there.
What do you think you'll pick up? 1, 2, 3 miles an hour?
I'd be happy with 4, like the last little mod, but this is going to be a lot more than just a screwdriver.
What speed were we at before? Do you remember?
I believe it was 24. We started 20, 24, so if we can get 28, I would be happy. So
That'd be sweet.
Let's get to it. We got the Coleman here. We're gonna take it apart, see if we can't get at that governor. I've seen one kid attempt it on YouTube, and it wasn't pretty.
Wasn't up to par. Nope.
No, like everything internally fell out. So we're gonna see what we can do to make it so that doesn't happen. The nice thing is the engine's all one piece once we remove the chain. So I'm thinking to keep the pieces in here, we'll flip it upside down. That should keep the push rods in and everything else. We're going to start by removing this cover and centrifugal clutch out. So we'll get these guys pulled off here. As you can see here, we got a nice mess on our hands here. We got that cover off. There were the 2 at the bottom, 2 at the top. We're going to go ahead, this cotter pin, we straightened it out pretty good, but it still doesn't want to come out too well. Make sure you pull that out or you're wasting your time. We've got a 15/16. I'm sure there's a that wasn't on there very good. Probably be able to finger tight that one. So we're going to pull that off.
So we're going to pull the centrifugal clutch off at the same time.
Alright, they're loose. I'm going to drain the oil at some point here. Drop that guy now. This might come off, huh? Should we set him down by us or
No, wherever.
we're going to pull these bolts off?
It looks like about a 10 mil. Maybe.
Yep. Get away from the bike. Don't bust your knuckles up. There are 4 of them?
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling we'll be able to get this back together.
Hope so.
If not, well.
Depends on how much is a new crate motor. New Predator motor.
About the price of the bike. Let's go buy another bike.
So Hi Sun, I think they make a new side-by-side Razor knockoff.
Is that who make this engine?
Yeah, it's a Hi Sun engine. That might be enough now. Yep.
We'll just take it off. All right. Yes.
A little funky getting that out.
Let's throw this back in the back here. Alright guys, once you got that underside bolt that went right here, let's see if I can turn as you can see. Got the bolt that went right there out, that did slide off. I think we're at the point where we need to drain the oil.
Yep.
Because once, if not, you pull this up, you're gonna spill over everything. So let me grab a pan and we'll drain the oil. I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this back bolt here. It's kind of a pain to get to. Let me show you where it's at. Right where my hand's at. Wow, we're gonna be here all week at that rate. Oh, there it is. It says it takes 0.63 quarts, which is not a lot. So I mean, you get used to doing like car oil, which there's 5+ quarts in it. 0.63 isn't very much. And when I got it, it says there was no engine oil, but it had some in it. So I don't know what they were talking about. I just used a Kohler Engines 10W30. It's all it calls for. It doesn't need anything specific or fancy. So that ought to be good enough. But the reason we're draining this is once we pop this off, all that oil is going to come gushing out, make a huge mess. We'll probably still leave this down here as a catch. It's nice to catch bolts and stuff or any oil that we miss, but it's just kind of trickling out now. Hope the audio gets that. If you're at home with a sudden urge to need to pee, you're welcome.
Do what you can to help society.
Should we just put the kickstand in it? What do you think? Sure. Whatever. The reason we're doing that is so that when we pop that cover off, it will work out a little better for us as far as catching the mess.
Let me start cracking these bolts.
Might as well. I'm putting the drain plug back in.
I'll put the dipstick back in.
Trying to hold the bike for you too. So you may be able to actually get the bolts out, but you might have to do a little pry to get that, to pop that seal.
I just want to keep, these are a little bit longer than the bolts that go through the clutch, so, or the clutch back plate cover, I should say.
We'll just use separate trays for everything we need. Okay, this is what we want to be. Ready? All right. So did a pretty good job of draining the oil. We got a little bit here. All right, guys, so we've laid the bike on its side just to make things easier, less likely for stuff to come flying out. See that big ring gear down there? You want to point out it with the screwdriver?
It's going to be that black assembly right down in there.
That's what we're going to try and get out of here without pulling apart all the internals, and I think we can do it. So
we're going to start by right up here underneath the gas tank. I don't know if you can see that. We're going to take that nut off. It's going to drop this assembly.
We'll go ahead and we're going to take that bolt off. We probably won't show it because there's not really a good way to show it, but I believe it's like everything else on this bike, a 10 millimeter. All right, so he's got in there. We got the bolt off. It was very interesting. It's going to be even more interesting to get it back on. And then there's a little clip there. You can see it now. Is there. Now we should be freely moving down there and should be able to possibly work on getting that retaining clip off and then removing the governor. So. All right, so there's a better shot of down in there, rotated the motor. We just got to get that ring out. I think we can. You got plenty of room to work now, don't we? Mm-hmm. We're going to see if we can get that clip removed and we'll go from there.
So you look right down in here, there is a small plastic piece that just covers the top here. Just pull that out. There's a washer underneath it. The trick is going to be to get this assembly or your governor gear out. You're going to have to take it, it's on a pressure clip, kind of like a modified C-clip that's right down over that post. This post here is a fixed post. So we're going to have to try to take this little C-clip out. I'm going to attempt to do that by spreading it with a really fine tipped flathead screwdriver. And a pair of pliers, and then we'll pull that assembly out.
Alright guys, so what was in there is this little clip. I'll set it here so you guys can see it. Just a little clip. It was a pain to get out. A lot of guys you'll see when they've been pulling these out, it's been knocked straight. They've had to beat and pound. We had to do a little bit with the rubber mallet. Here's your governor. So this is what we pulled out. We'll go show you the hole it left behind. But this was the biggest pain. This probably took longer than disassembling everything else to get out. There's really no tip or trick other than, see if I can set this up for you here. It's kind of tough. That gap there is what you got to work to get apart. And the farther apart it gets, the easier. And finally he was able to get a screwdriver on it, and we slid it up the shaft there, and then this pulled right out. So let's go see if we can get things put back together and then take it for a spin.
So that's what's left behind, just a post. Now if you remember, we took out a nut that holds that down in place, so we're going to stick the pin back on there, the alligator clip, or not alligator clip, I guess
Holds that back in
regular
place.
pin, and then the nut and bolt on is going to hold that down. Really all that is to keep the assembly on. We're just going to keep it out of the way. We don't want to leave a hole at the top of the motor that oil can piss out of.
So yeah, we'll get this thing secured back together, and then we'll stand the bike. Well, we'll probably just assemble it on its side still, maybe run and get some oil and go from there. Put it back together and try and run it. All right, so he got the clip back in place there. What we're going to do is we're going to put the case on, so when we stand it up, everything's held nice and tight in place. And then we're going to have to try and find a bolt. We did drop a bolt, so shouldn't be that big of a deal, but we need to get to the other side to remove a cover. So let's go ahead and put this cover on. That's pretty good.
So he pulled that whole damn thing off when he hit it. Gotta be gentle.
I think he went at an angle. So these longer ones, right?
Don't want to pop the bearings out.
We'll combine, spec them all down.
Really, they just need to be on their tight.
I think that's tight enough.
Oh yeah. So
Or anything, I did kind of lean back on it once. You had to go like this last time.
there you go.
Okay, and then this guy's got to go like that.
Yep.
These all somewhat started, huh?
Yeah.
Tighten them down. We're gonna get this whole side assembled. That's how I do is crack that case. So.
Don't forget the spacers. There's going to be a spacer that goes behind the centrifugal clutch. Make sure you drop that on. Let me show the camera. There's a keyhole on a sprocket. That keyhole right there. It's actually, if you look, this pin is what keeps your sprockets in line. That's what keeps them from freely spinning. So just want to make sure you line that up. Line that good. And there's my finger. We're seated all the way.
All right, so
Seated all the way there.
looks like he's got that down. Is that perfect for that? Well, this one right here, didn't it?
Yep.
Okay, thread that. I'll start this, and then you got your. They call it kind of like a castle nut. You can kind of see what it's like and why it's called that. You just got to get it on there, probably tighter than factory had it.
Yeah, hand tight.
And then you got to get a pin through the middle of it. So pretty much the only way this was staying on was that cotter pin. Okay. We got a lot of extra parts over here, but don't worry, we don't need them.
Don't usually recommend reusing cotter pins. They didn't have this one bent all the way over, so we'll actually spin it around and reuse it. So that's golden. So what are your hopes out of taking that governor? You think we can break 30 miles an hour?
Hoping to either do that or blow up the motor without the rod going through. I'm going to sit very far forward on the seat. If you can see, I don't think my camera can see, but yours can. I'll show you guys right here. I'll lift you up. The rod, if we throw like the piston or a rod, it's going to go that way. So I think where we're sitting on the seat will be fine.
Yeah. You might get hot shit coming up the bum hole, but
it's not oil. All right, so what I did here is I put a screwdriver in between that, so it spread it out a little bit, and it just slid right over and pushed down. I was struggling with that one. That one's tough to get off too. We're going to stand this up and we'll take another look at it.
Whoa! Holy shit, that's fast.
Dude, before, like, I should have hit the speed limit by that second house. I finally just let out the gas. Wanna try it?
Yeah, I want to try it. They're both on.
It was a lot faster. Holy cow. It's gonna throw a piston or a rod through the seat. And I just hope it just betwixes my butt cheeks instead of going in. It is so much quicker. I bet it's doing 30. What do you think?
Damn. Oh man, that's. We need a speedometer app. I think I have a Speedo app.
Speedo app. Take a selfie and then it puts you in Speedo.
Mm-hmm.
Now answer this: was it worth all the work?
Yeah.
Because what time is it?
2:30.
What time we start this? Like 11:30?
Something, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a hot day
It took
too.
a little bit of time.
It just there's no limit now, is there?
It just keeps running. Let's see how fast she runs, shall
Want me to pull it or? Let me try choke a little bit. Yeah. You want this clamped? Or do you think it'll rattle too much?
Let's try it.
Oh, dude, the crow's trying to eat the babies.
I should take a shot at the crow.
Should take that crow out, save its babies.
I got it. What do you think? Is it gonna stay?
I think so.
I think it'll stay. Sounds so much faster. I can't wait till he comes back and says like 34 miles an hour. What?
34.
That's 10 miles per hour. And my battery's about to die. So with that, 34 miles an hour, that's up 10 from where it was.